If you've ever wondered why you want to go in 20 different directions all in the same time, if you have so many thoughts and so many ideas that you are actually almost burning out yourself, or you don't understand why in the world your team's not keeping up with you, well, you're going to want to listen to this podcast. Because see, one of the things that Tyler and I both have in common is we love studying about the brain. We love to figure out, why do people do what they do and how can we help them? What can we do to add value to people? And of course, with the book Becoming More that I wrote being the #1 book for neurodivergent entrepreneurs. Yeah, you got it right there. I mean, hey, you're up there with Bill Gates and Sir Richard Branson and Steve Jobs. I mean, they were all neurodivergent. They had so many ideas going in so many different ways. Well, that's what we have for you today. So let's just jump right in. Tyler, you and I have been friends for quite a while. In fact, when I first met you, you were coaching with my brother-in-law, Lyle, who was a coach for me under the direction of MAPS. And it was very interesting because pretty soon we noticed that you were a great coach, that you had what it took to help other people get into a higher production, to have a more abundant life. And boy, you went with it. You became a great coach. And then you said, I want to help people like myself, like me, ADHD people that were all over the place, right? We love to get things going. And we have more ideas in 10 minutes than most people have in an entire day. So I'm going to start out. Why did you start the ADHD coaching? How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I did a presentation, and it was last minute on ADHD, and it ended up being the room was packed and people were tearing up, and this was at a big real estate conference, and just saw how many people felt like they were hiding this about themselves and they were the only one, and then to see everyone like healing and seeing other people that were like them and getting tools and changing the way they saw themselves. And I already get choked up emotionally. And it just, that's a beautiful thing to see. And then also me, like growing up as a kid and feeling like something was wrong with me and I had to hide it. And all of a sudden I'm surrounded by these incredible people with brilliant brains and getting to make a difference. I mean, there was nothing else I wanted to do. It was definitely just instant.
Yeah, well, it was like you knew your purpose right away, and everybody walks around going, what's my purpose? There's a lot of companies making a lot of money about having people say, what's my purpose? When you start doing things and you find that love, you find that passion, well, then you know that you've got a gift there. You wouldn't have that deep in your soul. And you're helping so many folks. What's been the greatest moment in what you've been doing? Because you've been speaking and you do Zoom calls every week for people. You coach folks. What's the most rewarding?
There was a woman that reached out. She was an 85-year-old realtor, and she said that this has taken 85 years of shame off her shoulders. It released 85 years of shame off her shoulders to have a name for it. And so I think watching people feel lighter and then like, oh my gosh, I actually have this great brain. I've been trying to do a different way that doesn't really work. And I'm actually like just seeing the light bulb go off and the light come into somebody to see themselves differently and then start to get in alignment with what works for them. And it's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, and I know that in Coaching Blitz, we talk about this. You helped literally release that running parachute, the thing that was holding her back, much like a person on the beach with that wind coming against them and that parachute's all big and full and they're running along and then they take the parachute off and whew, wow, they go so much faster. That's what you did for that woman. And I know that you actually did that with me and you allowed me to record it so I could use it for some training purposes. And I so appreciate that. Yet once we get those parachutes released, what happened to that woman after that?
Well, it's you start to get in alignment with your purpose yourself, right? And part of what I talk about, and it's science based, it's research based, is getting in alignment with how your brain works and working with it instead of fighting the resistance. And so what happens is a lot of us are philanthropic and we're empathetic and we care, and it's this permission to follow your heart and follow your joy, and then you give other people joy and you solve problems for other people, and so that's what's possible is you get out of your own way, the parachute's gone, and now you're helping people at a deep level.
Well, and being in sales, I mean, it's that ripple effect. You're helping this one who helps this one who helps this one who helps this one. And it keeps going and going. Yet we are training our brain every single moment of every single day. And most people believe that, hey, you know what? My brain is the way it is and it thinks for me. What we don't understand is that we've trained it to think that way. And you have over 10,000 coaching calls that you've made with individuals that you're helping them with this type of being an entrepreneur with ADHD. Is there some similarities, some patterns that you're seeing in each of those calls?
Yeah, there is, there's kind of a way, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're really growth oriented, there's a certain way we've kind of like been trained to do stuff and it might not work for our brain. And so I'm seeing people, instead of going with like their gut or what feels right, they're trying to do it the same way over and over and over again for years and it's not working. And then they think something's wrong with them. And then like in your book, Becoming More, right? They're not paying attention to how the story they're creating about themselves and the energy. And then they're just deflated and they're burned out and they're not helping themselves or their family. And so that's one theme I've seen. And then for someone, I would say that's cut the parachute and recognize that there's a theme of this, like we have this tank of energy, right? That people can't compete with. And when you get in alignment with things that give you joy, that are interesting, that are new, that are part of your passion, now you can go 3-4 times longer than somebody else. And people are like, how are they doing that? So I'm seeing like almost two extremes depending on where you're at in your journey with understanding your brain.
Well, just the mere fact that you're giving people passion, you're actually helping their health. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. When we're in our passion, when we're in our gift zone, it is so much healthier. And you've co-built a team that's ranked in the top 100 with Keller Williams Realty, right? And you've been doing that from 2013 to 2016. You closed around 300 units a year. So you're doing the coaching, you're doing that. How does that help satisfy your ADHD?
Well, so with ADHD, for a lot of us, our brains are chronically understimulated. We're really, really smart. It's not that we can't focus. We have 10 times the amount of thoughts as someone without ADHD. And so it needs something to chew on. And so we can get bored and dysregulated. And so a lot of times people report when they have more stuff going on, they're happier. And so by helping people with real estate and running a team and then also helping people in coaching, my brain was actually like satiated and really happy, and I've got to be in line with like giving back or helping people. And so yeah, it's just like joy zone. I've just been in my joy zone with that.
Well, I'm thinking of all the things that you're doing. I mean, you've got 22 satellite expansion offices. You're speaking internationally. You're the founder of 3 major communities, KW ADHD and ADHD for Real Estate Mastermind and ADHD for Agents Group Coaching. You got a lot of stuff going on where when I first met you, you were selling real estate and being coached. Where did the light bulb turn on for you to go, you know what? I have more than this.
Coaches, I mean, great coaches. You were one of those. You cut my parachute. I mean, before you even knew me with the courses you wrote, seriously. And then I fangirled out when I met you, and I was like, oh my gosh, we could be friends. It's such a gift, and I think now I'm getting used to the fact like we really are friends. Like I had still just a little shock value because it's so cool. Yeah, having great coaches and pointing out, that's why it's so important, because we don't know what we don't know, right? And so pointing out, I remember I had one coach that would say, hey, be nicer to my friend Tyler, because I had so many limiting beliefs and just this negative narrative that would happen. And yeah, I mean, I've had coaches my entire career, and it's totally why I'm
Yeah.
here.
It always boggles my mind why people go, "Oh, I don't need a coach. I know what I'm doing." You can't read the prescription from inside the bottle, for heaven's sakes. You
Oh,
need somebody outside reading that prescription that's you. And like when you came to my home and you had just spoken, gosh, where were you? You were on a big stage for
Vegas.
yes. Yeah,
It was in Inman, the big Inman News
Inman,
conference. Yeah.
absolutely. And so you were telling me about it, and I go, well, let's go with it. And then we spent an hour with, when you say big, let's say big, not big, right? And all these little things. And I watched how coachable you were. And I've always known that about you. You've been very, very coachable, which I think makes you a better coach for the other people. Yeah, with ADHD, let's get back to a business owner that has ADHD. How do you run your operation without just absolutely burning all of your employees or your business partners out?
Great question. And so people is the answer to most things, right? Having the right people, having the right coach, having the right mentors, having the right friends, relationships around you. And so hiring well, and what I found is finding people that have different strengths. Like I love having a mix of people who have ADHD and we can communicate and it's fast. And then people who don't have ADHD, but can still be direct and hang with my speed. And so you want to have a team that is better at things than you are, and then other things that they get you. So that'd be one thing. And then number two, just as a business owner, there's an acronym called INCUP. So these are the 5 things that create dopamine that we actually have more energy for than anything else, and we don't have resistance around. And so INCUP stands for interesting, new, challenging, urgent, and passion. Interesting, new, challenging, urgent, and passion. And this is science backed with brain scans. And so you want to make sure your job description and your role in your business, you keep it interesting, new, challenging, urgent, and passion. And instead of burning out, you're gonna have trouble stopping. You're not going to want to go on vacation because you're having so much fun and you're getting dopamine, which we usually have lower levels of.
Okay, so one of the things that just literally, I've got to tell you, we all have those hangups, right? Things that just trigger us, right? The
Mhm.
urgent part. My gosh, get it done. Come on. Do you ever have that?
Like you wait till the last minute until
No,
you
I
do it,
mean, like,
or,
no, like
do it faster?
you watch people and they don't do something urgently. And it's like, come on,
Oh yeah.
go, go, go. Let's
Yes.
do it. Let's do it. It's due. It's due. It's due.
Mhm.
Don't put it down to do next week. If you can do it in 2 minutes, do it now.
Yeah, why
Right.
isn't this done? Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep.
I mean, I got to think about that. Is it interesting to them? I got to figure out how to make it interesting to them. And it's always new. I mean, let's face it. Could you actually work in one of those widget shops where you just,
Do the
like
same.
an assembly line where you pick something up and put it down, pick it up, put
I
it down?
would I would dissociate. Like I did in school. I got so bored I would like literally dissociate or go in my own world. Yeah.
Yeah. And
The brain
they
has
call it daydreaming. It really wasn't daydreaming. It was keeping your mind occupied
right.
because the teacher wasn't keeping it occupied, right?
Right.
Whereas every time the teacher would give me new problems, I would be so excited, right? And I loved math and of course physics with all the energy. And I had a physics professor that he was always challenging me. So let me ask you, who were your favorite teachers? Were they the ones that challenged you?
Well, so studies show that people with ADHD get 20,000 negative messages about our behavior by the age of 8. So 20,000 more negative messages by the age of 8 than our peers. So my favorite teacher, because I just thought something was wrong with me, right? A couple of teachers I remember like just cared about me. You know, there was an English teacher. I still look her up, and she like believed in me and saw something special in
Yeah.
me, even though I struggled a little bit. And that just having one or two adults that's like, and I had a science teacher that said I was smarter than him. I'm like, you're insane. Like I'm not. And those two teachers, just having two and having all these other things that weren't good, but having two adults that saw something in you that you respected changed everything for me.
And then I know when Lyle was your coach, because he would always say, Tyler is so great. Tyler just has got to believe in Tyler, right?
That's sweet. He was wonderful. He made me great
Well,
church.
yet having a coach that believes in you. And sometimes you have to borrow that belief that somebody else has in you until you can obtain your own. That's for sure. So what do you think that ADHD, sorry, professionals do that actually keeps them stuck where they're at?
Hmm. So this is something I thought would be great for this, and I'm going to talk about negative thinking because there's some science behind that, and this is a huge one, and this is something, and so when we have like we're understimulated, right? Our brain's chronically understimulated sometimes. What can be easy to do is we can actually get addicted to negative thoughts because they're compelling, right?
Yes.
And they create cortisol and endorphins, which creates dopamine. So as an ADHD person, entrepreneur with less dopamine,
Yep.
if we don't go do that, if we don't get movement in, if we don't get good sleep, if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't have good people around us, if we're not paying attention and being intentional with our work and what we're taking on, our brain, to try and help us, is going to keep producing negative thoughts to give us dopamine, which is the fuel to go. So you are in this chronic, it's constant state of stress and urgency and negativity and cortisol, and that's how you get stuff done. Whereas instead of shifting to a different way of operating, which is what we coach do.
Well, and that's the biggest thing because our brain does want to go to the negative. What do you remember the most about a party? When you first leave, if you had a great time, of course, you think about that. Yet at first, we start thinking about all the negative things before we even go to the party. Does this look good? Should I wear this outfit? Our brain is already having us question the things that we desire to do. And our brain doesn't really want us to move forward a lot because, as we know, the brain loves routine. It loves to know what's going on. It loves to have the same thing. It doesn't want to get outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So how does someone that has been told so many times before they're 8 years old, now that's embedded in the mind. That's a pathway. Neuroscience tells us nerve cells fire together, they wire together. So you're wired to now think something is wrong with you. Why aren't I like everybody else? So what has been the follow through that you've had to do with yourself to get yourself out of those inconsistent bad thoughts that were put in at a young child's age?
So and it can come down to shame. ADHD shame is a real thing. And I've got the mental health background. The number one thing that's worked for me and other clients is compassion. And so when you go back, and because what you're doing is what does that kid need to hear in that moment, right? So it's understanding compassion. And so you go back and you're restless and you can't sit still in school, and somebody says, gosh, you can't pay attention. What's wrong with you? You don't care. You don't give this a priority. And you go back and you say, oh, I was bored. I was uncomfortable. The lights were too bright. My shirt was too tight. And you give that part of you compassion and understanding. You start to recognize nothing was wrong with you. Right. And so as we get shame and stuff, oh, I said the wrong thing. I missed the social cue. Oh, I'm sorry. How would you talk to a little kid? And we do a lot of that to kind of rewire.
It is amazing. So let me ask you, you have this community that is building, and I love that you're doing this, helping so many people with this. I mean, that's why I wrote the book, to help people. That's why you do what you do, to help people.
Yep.
Who is this community for? They're listening to this podcast and you want to invite them in. If you are feeling this, tell me how you would change that. If you're feeling this, come on into our community.
So I asked everyone, because with any product or any business, even though it's heart led, you want to solve a problem for people, right? A good business solves a
Right.
problem. So I had all these trainers come in, I did all this stuff, and I was paying people, and so I asked them, I said, what's the problem that I'm solving for all of you? And every single one, I thought I was going to say all this other stuff, was community and connection.
Yeah.
And so this is for people who are an ADHD entrepreneur, or in the industry, real estate, that feel like maybe something's wrong with them, or they just want to connect. They want to learn how to emphasize their brain, and they want to be around other people that work like them, and want support and education and things that are built for them. Because to my knowledge, there's nothing else that exists for an ADHD real estate agent or entrepreneur at this level.
That's what I love about it. It's like our book club that this brain behind me back here. We study the brain at first, and then we go into the book, Becoming More, and how do you use your brain. But that community, it's amazing what happens in just a few short weeks. People get to know each other via Zoom, and all of us need community. So let's say I join your community. I know I need a reset, so to speak. I want the reset button hit for me. What is something that you would recommend to them? Like, do you recommend affirmations? What do you recommend for them to get those negative beings, I call them the storytellers in our mind,
Right.
uh, out of their mind?
Well, it's understanding. So we've got a classroom with on-demand modules and live calls and a mastermind. So I would say just start learning about the science of ADHD. And you can do that through that platform or whatever platform. But when you have a name for stuff, like it's not a fear of rejection, you just have to get over it. There's what's called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which actually on scans show emotional pain lighting up at perceived rejection. It's a whole other thing.
I love what you're saying because
Mhm.
there's so many studies of the brain, and I've looked at brain scans and that, and the brain scan I use a lot is the one with gratitude because it lights up our
Yeah.
brain when we're in gratitude, right? Yet when we're in shame and negativity, we can't even think straight, and we're wondering why we have that fog, and we're not happy. We don't have any joy inside of us. Well, we're not lighting up those areas of the brain that are so important to do. So let me ask you some things though, because I've followed you, I've watched you, and I've seen you go from wondering, if I can say it, how to buy a hamburger, right? Because
Yeah.
we
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about
Oh, I
that,
mean,
to where
nothing.
you are today. You had to believe in yourself. And I know you've had coaches and you're very coachable. What would you tell the people that are maybe just feeling a little bit down right now? Like, I just don't have what it takes. I'll never be a success. Because I know there's people out there that feel like that. What would you be saying to them right now, whether they have ADHD or otherwise?
Mm. Well, I mean, as a coach, I've done over 10,000 one-on-one calls, right? And I've coached a lot of people, and I'm sure you have too. And every single person, and tell me if you agree, has something different or special about them or something to offer. They do.
Absolutely.
They
Yep.
do. I mean, I've not met one person where there wasn't some spark that I fell in love with. Like I love my clients deeply,
Yes.
um, and there's something there. So if you think that it's not true, like the brain can lie to you, anxiety can lie to you, depression can lie to you, they can lie to you. Like there's a spark that you have, and getting in alignment with a higher power, or what you care about, your passion, something like just helping is going to get you in alignment to help you figure that out. And there's nothing better than that.
Well, that's because you love helping people like I do. Adding value. I mean, every day I get up, who am I going to add value to today? And then at
Yeah.
night I ask, who did I add value to today? Right? It does keep us going. And when we can put belief into people, Tyler, you are so right on with the gifts. Every single person has a gift. The problem is most people haven't opened it up yet because they don't know. Yet, when you look at people that you coach, I know you've got to be like me. You can see things in them that they don't even see in
100%.
themselves. Yeah.
100%.
What
There,
what do you do? Let's talk about this. Let's just have a conversation. The turning point, I call it the turning point, where you see a light bulb go off in one of your clients, and you can just tell, Oh my word, they are about ready to take off to success like they'll never even think possible. And you've seen that. You've heard it in their voice. Let's talk about what does that feel like to get people out of the cage and give them freedom?
I mean, I'm a business partner with them. I'm a partner, right? So I think
Right.
being a mirror, that's what I will do a lot. Like, and I've learned this from you too. It's pointing out observations, right? Somebody's really hard on themselves, and I'll say, hey, can I repeat this back to you? And then I highlight the stuff that their brain's not catching on of like what they did really well, and just mirror it back to them. I mean, and then they, you know.
So we're actually talking even about our children because we don't realize how we are helping them or hurting them, right? Like, oh, you got an A on the math test. Woohoo. When I knew you were always good in math. You are better in math than anybody. We're putting a fixed mindset into them.
Right.
Either you're good at math or you're not good at math. No, it's the effort that can make you good at math. There's people that have more talents, and we got to build up those talents. As a coach, what are some of the things that you do to help build up talent in the people that you would say as a parent they should be doing for their children?
Hmm. There's something I notice a lot with people that I coach, and we all have that like voice, right? The internal narrative about how we see ourselves. And like you said, sometimes we can go towards the negative. And so the parents are going to help shape that voice. And I know that because of my pattern recognition and how some people with the most negative self-talk, nothing's ever good enough, had parents that talk to them like that. And so you
That's
don't want to
right.
just be a cheerleader. You taught me this. You don't want too much care because that's dysfunctional. You don't want too much candor because that's distant. You want to find the balance. But reflecting back, like you said, how did you feel? Are you okay with that? How do you feel about not having your room clean by when you wanted it? Or how do you feel that you started? You didn't finish it, but you started. What does that feel like? So we're teaching people their own narrative besides giving it, landing or just this harsh discipline that it's never good enough. I mean,
Yeah.
just watching that voice is going to form based on how you talk to them.
And I think it's really important, even with ourselves. And in my book, I talk about the four storytellers, right? We've got the one that is the devastating one. And there are some parents that are the devastating storyteller.
I
They are
coach their kids as adults.
they're
I do.
feeding that, and they fed it so much that it's like a big monster, right? And so the second one, though, is a flattering one. Oh, you're so good. Oh, you're so good. Oh my goodness, you're so pretty. And then somebody doesn't think they're pretty, and the kid thinks, what's wrong with me now?
Mhm.
Am I not pretty anymore? What do I have to do for you? And then they start becoming people pleasers. So the person will give them the love and say they're pretty. And it's almost frightening to have
Yeah.
that flattering storyteller be fed so big. And then, of course, the one that a lot of parents use, the reasonable and the excuses, right? You can have reasons or results, can't have both yet. Oh, well, this is why it happened. I'm not driving fast. It's that person that's doing it. They always have an excuse. And then the one that you help them with as a coach is that encouraging,
Mm.
that empowering storyteller. So let's say, because you just said you coach a lot of these people, they have that devious storyteller going crazy inside their mind. What are some of the things that you do that parents could do for their children or others could do for their team members to help calm down that devious storyteller and help the empowering storyteller to take over?
So one of the things, and this is cool having a mental health background, we have what are called cognitive distortions. So and one of those, the biggest one that I watch is all or nothing thinking. You're either one or you lost. You either do it perfect or you don't do it at all. You either failed or you didn't. And so, and it's black and white thinking. The black hurts, right? And the white isn't true, right? And so when there's a story or a narrative, it's like you want to look for what the gray is. And that can pull you out of that cognitive distortion. Like, I'm terrible. I'll never be successful. I'm never going to be able to run a team. So, and this is, you could look at like 100% true model. Is that 100% true?
Right.
Right. And what is the data for that and against that? And we start to pull out the cognitive distortions and actually see things realistically. And that can be a big one. Yeah,
I love that 100% true model. I use that all the time and in
you taught it
coaching
to me
lists and well, yeah, I taught
years
it.
ago.
That's exactly right. Yet, is it 100% true? Is there anybody else that is
Right.
actually doing the opposite? What if you chose to do the opposite? Or how long have you been taught to think that way, right? All these questions. So what I hear you saying is through questions, we can help train our brain to a new way of thinking. And I love that you held up my book right at the beginning. Thank you so much for that, because you and I have the same goal. We want to help these folks retrain their brain to a new way of thinking that brings out their talents, their gifts, and allows them to be as successful as they can, just like watching you go from somebody that wanted a cheeseburger and couldn't afford one, so you settled with a hamburger, to the success that you now have with 22 expansion teams, your team doing over 300 deals a year, and you're coaching and doing the ADHD training all at the same time. So congratulations. What one thing do you want to leave our audience with today?
So what I'll say, because a lot of us, if shame and harshness worked, it would have worked by now. So if you have not accomplished what you want to, and you're still running that same play, if shame and harshness worked, it would have worked by now. And so when you think of it, and you're stuck, how would you talk to a kid or a kid self? And when you say, "Oh, you didn't, this wasn't good enough. This you didn't do it enough," what happens to your energy, right? It's going to get. But if you say, "Hey, you started it. I believe in you. You can do this." What happens to your energy, right? That goes up versus down. And so if you're in this shame thing and cortisol and stress hormones and discipline and forcing yourself versus the other way, you're gonna have less energy because it's not working. So that's what I would say is, if you've been running the same play forever, try something else. Try positive, try encouraging yourself. See what happens. Try it for a week, do an experiment, and then you can thank me later.
Okay. And last thing, how do people reach out to you? We'll put it in the chat below. Also, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe to this Becoming More podcast, because we believe that you too can become more. So, Tyler, how would they reach out to you?
If you go to ADHDtyler.com, you're ADHDtyler.com. We've got free Facebook groups, tons of free resources, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, all that. And then also if you wanted to do the paid group, if you wanted to reach out about coaching, but we've got a ton of free stuff as well. And you can reach out to me. I'd love to help.
I know you would. Thank you so much, Tyler. You've helped us
Thank you.
today. We greatly appreciate it. See you soon. Bye-bye.